Hey y'all, hey y'all, and welcome to Three Pagans on Tap. Obviously, we are missing a couple of people tonight. Sarenth has COVID and is very, very sick, so it will be just me tonight. Because I completely failed to schedule us a guest in my, holiday scramble. Uh, you know, I'm just going to blame the ADHD because it's convenient. It's also almost certainly the reason. Anyway, regardless, just me tonight. Hence, solo round fight, which I'm going to get rid of before it super distracts me. But regardless, we're here. I'm here. And I'm going to say a quick prayer before we get started. Hail to the ancestors. Hail to those who came before, who fought and died and lived and thrived so that we can be here. Hail to the survivors and those who didn't make it. Through hard times and good, you made our lives possible today. Healers and sick, survivors, thank you for that which you laid down, that we may be here and build and weave tapestry of our own. Thank you, Holy Ones, named and unnamed, known and unknown. Backwarm us and keep us all. Best thrive. Alrighty. So that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and get started with the live Spirits with Spirits. And yeah, it'll probably be a relatively short show tonight because it's just me. But yeah, I wanted to do that live since I'm pretty sure I haven't before. And I've talked about it a lot, and it's somewhat appropriate. Probably chat about things that I've been up to, and then we'll probably call it a night. But regardless, let's do that. So, why don't y'all come with me? Let's see if my computer can take this. As y'all get a brief tour of my house, as you know what, that was probably a terrible idea. We're gonna run with it. As y'all get a brief impromptu tour of my house. Alright. So, how I make spirits with spirits. I think I've talked about the process before, but I haven't actually done it on air, so let's do that. Starts with prayer, and then going into a trance. Hail to the spirits of alcohol. Hail to Kapasir, from whose blood mead flowed. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you for working with me tonight. Once I've said the prayer and gone into a bit of a trance, a lot of it is just kind of running on instinct, going with whatever bottle and ingredients you're speaking. Tonight, it seems that we are going with about 2.5 ounces of gin, half an ounce of limoncello that I got from an old coworker, who it's really, really tasty. I'm gonna drop back in. Sorry, 2.5 ounces of gin, half an ounce of limoncello, about a capful of lime juice just to bump that sourness up just a bit. Three drops of Wild Hunt bitters from Bennett's Bitters. Three drops of the Exorcism bitters from Bennett's Bitters. Spin. That's really good. Top of the club soda, and then we're there. Hey everyone, nice to see you. Melkor, and it looks like we have some people speaking, it looks like Russian in the chat. Nice to see y'all as well. I don't speak Russian, so I hope that you understand English. Otherwise, I'm not entirely sure what you're going to get out of the show. Anyway, hi y'all. I hope that made some kind of sense. And here's to that. That is surprisingly good. It's not nearly as sweet as I kind of had expected. It's very herbal, and I think you're right. We do just need the book now. I think what the spirits were going for tonight was probably what was on the back of my mind, which was herbs, medicines, right? COVID's going around, right? Sarantha's sick with COVID. A bunch of people I know are sick, either COVID or not, and it's on my mind. So I think that's probably what they were going for tonight. It's very good though. It's almost tonic-like. Like it's not medicinal because it's not overly sweet. It's interesting though. That's a potent. That's going to be a good trance inducer too, huh? As I sit down and I'm in a deeper trance now than I was fucking while I was making the drink. It's fine. But yeah, the book. I actually do need to work on that. Fucking hell. Yeah. I also should probably like sit down and listen to all of the episodes since I've been using the episodes to record half the recipes. Wow. My brain just completely lost the word recipes. But yeah. I had a thought. It's gone. Regardless, Melkor, at some point I am going to convince you to come on the show. It's going to take a minute of me bugging you constantly, but we'll get you on the show at some point. It'll be fun. Better than you measure with my heart. I mean, most of the time I do, but honestly, half the time I use a shot glass or a pour measure because it's easier to pour out of than just a straight bottle into the thing. Because I tend to buy the bulk bottles, which are a little harder to pour out of. But, you know, is what it is. I'm just super not pulling words well tonight. Oh, that's legit. That's legit. Maybe in a month or two, Melkor says, got to get some stuff in order. That's legit. I mean, fucking, obviously I'm not super with it with getting things scheduled. Like, shit happens. We'll figure something out. There are a couple of people that Saranth and I have definitely talked about that we want to bring on the show. Cabra being one of them. We've talked about it with Cabra before. Just schedules haven't lined up well. But we definitely want to do that.
Happy birthday, Cabra.
Is it Cabra's birthday? Today's Cabra's birthday, according to Josie. So assuming that's correct and we don't have that super wrong, happy birthday, Cabra, when you listen to this. If you listen to this. Cheers to you. Yeah, it's a new year and it's quiet around here, and that's not a bad thing, right? Taking time. It's still dark and cold out. Taking time to rest as much as you can is pretty good. We can do a scary grandma episode and cry in solidarity. We absolutely can do that, and if we do that, we should do it before it gets light again when it's cold. You know, in their prime time, like you do. Yeah, for those who weren't in the last episode, we had Kunigunde on, and that was very, very fun. And throughout the entire episode, and especially afterwards, in the after party, I was basically beat about the head and face with signs from Baba Yaga and Frau Perkta that I had shit to do. So that was entertaining. It was entertaining, at the very least. So yeah, that was fun. And Melkor, who I just realized I haven't been putting any of these comments up. So let me go ahead and do that. Melkor said we can do a Scary Grandma episode and cry in solidarity. Yeah, Melkor is also works pretty heavily with Baba Yaga. I believe. I might have that wrong. No. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it was Baba Yaga. Wow, my brain is really with it today. And so yeah, I basically went to Melkor immediately for advice, like, hey, what's up? Because, go to the people who that know what they're doing. So yeah. I had a thought. Where did it go? Dark of the year, taking time to rest where you can. That's still important. Yeah, we're past the solstice. Doesn't matter. It's still the dark, quiet time of year. Let yourself rest when you can. And I keep telling myself that. It kind of works sometimes. Hey, Jason. All good. It is a lazy day. Good for you. Good for me. Good for us. Oh yeah, on my side. So I've mentioned this kind of off and on the show a bit. In the last 6-ish months, yeah, that's a good point, Indy. Indy says, feeling more need to rest now than when festivities were keeping me going, to be honest. Yeah, no, that's legit. If you don't have the constant drive of holiday after holiday kind of moving you along, it's really easy to hit that hibernation season that Melkor is talking about. If all you're doing is surviving, that's okay. Damn right. Like, all you did today was keep breathing. Good for you. Proud of you. Hey, Kat. Not so sneaky because I'm just going to throw you up on screen. It's fine. Right. So in the past 6-ish months, I have bounced from one company to the next 4 times. I went from one laboratory to another laboratory that was a hot dumpster fire, to another laboratory that was a quite possibly fraudulent dumpster fire. And then Monday, so yesterday, I actually started at a 4th laboratory. And this one seems significantly fucking better. So I'm really hopeful that this time it'll stick and I can be there for more than a month before I feel the need to move on. Luckily, I have been incredibly blessed and have been able to find a new job relatively quickly after the last one turned to shit. So I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, but my coworkers don't know that, Kat says. Well, I mean, that's good because I don't feel like we're a very work-friendly podcast, so that makes sense. Glad to hear it, says Jason. Thanks. I'm really glad to be at this new place. Like, it genuinely seems like a much better laboratory, and yeah, like I'm really excited. To the point that one of my direct boss actually said on my first day, fuck right to work, more like right to be screwed over or something like that. But yeah, so that's always a good sign. And The less fraudy, the better, indeed. Yes, because, you know, I'm not going to talk about it on air because, you know, that's NDAs and all that. But regardless, it was a bad place. Anyway, if y'all have anything you want to talk about, please drop it in the comments. I'm happy to just ramble on about whatever y'all want to talk about, since it's basically just me tonight. So yeah, that's been really stressful though. Like bouncing between jobs that frequently is pretty tough, even though it was for the best to move on from those places. It's still pretty tough to bounce like that, especially that frequently. Yeah. So that's kind of what I've been up to. Is any rituals, Melkor says, any rituals you're doing during the dark months that you'd be up to sharing? Yes. I think I talked about last time the kind of leading up to the solstice rituals that I was doing. My friend, I'm not sure what you're saying here. I wish I did. Is that something you said? That's the same thing somebody else said earlier. I wonder if we're getting some bots coming through. Oh well. Anyway, rituals during the dark months. So I did a lunar month of nightly kind of prayers and offerings to Freyr as a. The way that I see Freyr is a cyclical king, literally the sacrificial king who is sacrificed at the end of the summer months to ensure the fertility of the coming year, and spends the dark months in the underworld, in the Mound, basically going from Lord of the Mound during the dark months, being reborn again, and becoming the Shining King again in the bright summer months. And so I did a whole lunar month of prayers and offerings and rituals every night to him to help sustain him and prepare him for the journey back up. And then on the solstice night, on the longest night of the year, me and Kai, who's been on the show, and Nicole, who we should probably have on the show at some point because that would be a grand fucking time. Anyway, me, Kai, and Nicole did a longest night vigil where we lit a sacred fire at sundown and stayed up with it all night, feeding the fire, making offerings and everything all night until sunrise, and actually just a little after. And at sunrise, we allowed the fire to burn itself out. That was really fun, although fairly intense. The next day was pretty rough, but it's what happens. And so I did that. What else am I doing? So here in a couple days, probably this weekend, we'll be taking down our Yule tree, which is we harvested from Crossing Hedgerow Sanctuary, which is a local farm and pagan sanctuary here. Check them out on Patreon, please. They're really awesome. Because of my Patreon level with them, I was able to harvest the tree from them from their property. and the tree requested that it. I forget the exact phrasing. How did you phrase it? Go to be with the gods. Was that it? That was the point anyway. Was to they wanted to be sent off in a sacred fire after the after we took all the decorations down and we are kind of done with the Yuletide season. So that's a thing that I will be doing soonish. That will be very fun. Let's see. Speaking of job bouncing, I have an interview on Friday. Good luck. Hope it goes well. I hope that not only do they like you, but that it is a good fit, because that's important. I see Scary Grandma up above. You already get to Baba Yaga. Kind of. We talked about it briefly. I need to do more with that. I haven't done hardly any research, and I need to. And I definitely need to talk to various folks and see what's up there. I've got a fairly good idea of what's going on, but I should talk to people some more. And also, yes, I also did the luck magic thing. Jason came over one night and taught me his luck magic stuff, which was really neat. I haven't really played with it since, but that was very interesting. Which, Jason, if you actually want to toss your blog in the comments, that would be awesome, because then people could see it. Because Jason does some really interesting chaos magic vibe stuff with luck and fate and some other things, and it's real interesting stuff. We've had Jason on the show before. He talked about it a lot. It was a lot of fun. Although, Jason, you will be interested to know I did have I already had at least one. Oh, okay. Josie says links get eaten. I think host has to share. Jason, if you will send it to me, I will make sure it gets posted. Somehow, some way, I will make sure it gets posted. Or I can probably just do it myself, regardless. Brain did the thing. I did have my first, hey, Luck's going to send you on a weird fucking fetch quest thing. So that happened. Was it a week ago, I think? Week and a half ago, had a thing go off and I was like, oh, I need to do this. Huh. Neat. And yeah, that was definitely a thing. I think we're having some bots jump on the show because we're having some weird things happen. Yeah. It was Jason says, ooh, I would love to hear about it. So basically I was it was entirely online, which is kind of odd, but not super surprising given COVID. Thanks, Melkor. And yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, whatever. Shit happens. As long as it doesn't get absurd and out of hand, I'm not super worried about it. And if it does, we'll just end the broadcast. But yeah, it was basically I needed to help a person get in contact with some other people so that they could learn a thing, which actually reminds me I need to follow up on something with that. But yeah, person that I knew over here needed to be in contact with these people over here so that they could learn some things, and it's been I think it's working out really well for them. So I'm glad it worked. It was just very much like you're asking a question. Oh, I already know the answer to that. Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I know the person who knows the answer to that. Here, do the thing. And that was fun. So yeah. Other rituals. So I talked about the sacred fire that I'll be doing. Roundabout towards probably the equinox, I'll probably do something for the wild hunt as kind of we leave the dark half of the year. Uh, I'll probably do something as they kind of, in my practice, the wild hunt never stops. It just kind of waxes and wanes. And it's very involved with day and night and also the moon, but also yearly cycles. And a lot of it just has to do with how fucking dark it is. So once we leave the dark half of the year, the equinox will probably do something as they enter a more restful time of the year for them. Also, yeah, Melkor, Magic Wand, I know of them, and you were the them. Yeah, that fucking happens. Which is funny because I also typed in the chat of the Discord that I was in where that happened, where I was like, I make jokes about I know a guy all the time, but also I know a guy all the time. Like I got friends who, if I don't know, they know, and if they don't know, they know someone who does. Like just all the time, for basically almost anything. Which is good because you can't be an expert in everything all the time. Like knowledge is highly specialized, and that's important because you can't know everything and you can't be expected to know everything. So actually one of my favorite stories about that, because I'm might as well go on a tangent. This is actually good. So do the wild hunt move in like a migration pattern, like following the dark, if that makes sense? That's not a terrible way to put it. Yeah. Whether or not our ancestors knew, because we knew the world was round for a long time before people thought that we knew the world was round. Like we've known the world was round since the ancient Greeks. At least somebody's known since at least the ancient Greeks. Now, whether or not we've known about the fact that one half of the Earth is always dark, things like that, I genuinely don't know. But regardless, that's not really the point. Whether or not that was the case, the fact of the matter is that we do know that now, right? While it's night here, on the other side of the world, it's daytime. While it's cold and dark here, in Australia, it's the summer. It's the days are long and the nights are short. While the North Pole is experiencing the long night, the South Pole is experiencing the long day. So yeah, I think that's a really fair way of describing it, is like a migration pattern where they follow the dark. And I haven't exactly, like, on a gut level, I understand why that is, because the dark is where the monsters hide, and death is the long sleep, and ancestors are very involved in the wild hunt and other reasons I can't really put into words. But the dark is where the monsters are. and the Wild Hunt is full of monsters. So yeah, no, that's a really good way to put that. And it also makes sense, right? If you think about migrations, it's not that you can't find that species outside of the migration area, right? Like you can find geese in the north during the winter. There's just way more of them in the south, right? Most of them move, they head south, but you can still find them here in Michigan. They're not all gone. There's just less of them. And the ones that are here probably moved from farther north. Or they're just here and eating human food all the time, but that's beside the point. So it's not like spirits associated with the Wild Hunt are completely absent during the day or something like that. It's not like that. You just won't see as much of it. Man, I hope that makes sense. That's kind of rambling, but yeah, that's man, that's a good way to put that. I'm probably gonna steal that, by the way, just so I can talk about it on my blog or something, because that's a really good way to put that. Thanks. Jason says, I never really thought of the Wild Hunt as being composed of monsters. Oh, spooky, yes, but not monsters. I mean, it depends how you define monster, right? Like, it depends how you define monster, honestly. And when I say that, mostly I'm talking about spooky, scary things that people are afraid of. I'm using it more colloquially than I would actually really define it, because I actually wouldn't genuinely say that the Wild Hunt is full of, well, okay, I might, because the Wild Hunt is full of pretty terrifying shit. But, you know, the Wild Hunt's complicated, it turns out. As per usual, I'm going to recommend Claude Lacouteau's Phantom Armies of the Night, which is his book about the Wild Hunt, because the folklore and the mythology and the legends are broad, cover many centuries, if not thousands of years, and cross literally the majority, if not the entirety, of the European subcontinent, including the British Isles. Like, there's a lot of legends and folklore to deal with and dig through when you're talking about the Wild Hunt, and some of it's wildly contradictory. It's very complicated. Everything from who makes up the hunt, what their purpose is, who the leader is, when they ride. It's very complicated. Because yeah, comprised typically of the things that go bump in the night. Sometimes literally, says Kat. Yeah, I mean, yeah, very much. That's it. Yeah, just very much. And Melkor says, interesting. Thanks for indulging my curiosity. Of course, like, it was fucking good. Like, oh, that was really. I really am going to steal that. I'm probably going to write a blog post using that at some point, because that's really good. Because at some point I do need to write up something about my practice with the Wild Hunt. But yeah. So probably do something for them around the equinox. Or on the equinox. I might actually save. So when I take down my tree this weekend, take all the decorations and everything off of it, I will also probably take the start taking the branches off and take the trunk apart, and kind of probably set it on my porch to dry out until it's time. And I will almost certainly send them up on the equinox for the wild hunt. That seems fitting. Because I missed it, what are you drinking? Yes, Jason, it is gin based. It is 2.5 ounces of gin, a half an ounce of limoncello that one of my former coworkers gave me. 9 drops of bitters from Bennett's Bitters, 3 Wild Hunt, 6 Exorcism, and a cap full of lime juice just to bump that acid up a little bit, and topped off with club soda. It was served over ice. It was an on-air Spirits with Spirits, which was pretty neat. And also, it's a really intense. It's good, very herbaceous. Reminds me of medicine without being like sickly sweet. Like medicine in the good way. It's also a really, really strong trance inducer. Because as soon as I sat down and started taking a sip, I was like, "Wow, okay, here we are." But yeah, that was fun. I gotta come up with a name for all of these drinks at some point. Melkor says, "I'm running from the blog sphere because I don't journal enough as it is, and I don't need y'all dragging me." So fun fact, I basically don't journal because the ADHD says no. I just can't. I just can't maintain any kind of journaling practice. It's not a thing that my brain will let me do. Blogging is actually super useful for that. Like, it's really good to be able to just, like, actually one of my last posts was basically just me journaling for the world to see. It was just me literally working through a bunch of thoughts that I needed to get through for my practice to get things to a much better place. And by the end of the blog post, I was like, wow, okay, I've made a bunch of decisions. It's a good thing that I wrote this shit out because I wouldn't have without this blog, and I needed to write them out to figure out the fuck I was doing. So, yeah, that's, I'm not saying you should do it, but it's not a terrible idea, and it's worked pretty well for me. And a couple of other people I know will basically treat their blog like a journal of their practice. Kat says, "I'm still astounded by everyone that does a public blog. I've sat down a couple times to try and immediately got smacked by imposter syndrome." You're assuming I don't. You're assuming that it's not fucking terrifying every time I hit send. I literally, in my very first blog post, I literally called that out. I was like, I mean, what the fuck do people care what I think? I'm just some fucking kid from South Carolina who gives a shit what I think. But people seem to get something out of it, and I, for one, would be interested in reading what you had to say. So, if you feel like starting a blog, do the thing. I certainly would read it. Yeah, blogging and random notes on my CPU are the closest thing I get to journaling, Jason says. Yeah, I mean, it's whatever helps make the brain go, like, do what you got to do. Also, yeah. Oh, yeah, nothing like hitting send and then realizing that you sound completely mad. Yeah, that's absolutely a fucking thing. Also, hey, Shan. Welcome to the quieter show. And yes, trance-inducing drinks. That sounds like a fun list. You want to work on a cocktail list with me? Because I'm, supposed to be writing a book. It's fine. And yes, Shan. Brain go burr. Jason is also saying, "Cat, do it. I would consume the thing." And Josie's saying, "My form of journaling is just collecting journals and then not using them." That's a damn lie. You use journals all the fucking time. You journal things for me. Josie's sitting like 10 feet from me. It's fine.
Not for myself, though.
That's a damn lie, too. You do journal for yourself all the time. Not all the time. Yeah, whatever. Yes, Melkor, yes. Send me those. I can't promise they'll all make it in, but I want to try them. And I mean, if the spirits say go. Like, fucking, if we make this like a 3-person project because Jason said, ooh, we should. Because, yeah, like, honestly, I could probably use co-authors to help me fucking get this thing off the ground. Anyway, Josie has more notes on readings she has done for me than I do. Yeah, no, that's completely fair. And Shan, I should be writing on my assignment, but I'm kind of like, why though? I mean, deadlines? Because you need to get paid for it? Something? I don't know. Or don't. You do you. Dude, I don't give a shit. Like, I want you to do it because I want you to succeed. But if you don't want to, don't. Like, do what you gotta. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of important a little bit. Ember Wildstorm, stream of consciousness journaling is actually an amazing way to come to a collective thought about ideas and such. My therapy actually uses it for mindfulness to ground us back down. Yeah, that's. I basically did that with one of my more recent blog posts, where I was like, I have a bunch of problems with my practice. I need to figure them out. I'm going to talk about them in public because that's the only way I'll actually write this shit out and process it in my brain. So here we go. You're all subjected to it. And apparently some people actually found that useful to like read. So I'm glad that somebody got something out of it. But it was incredibly useful for me. So I'm glad that I did it. Also, yeah, that's why you're doing it for money. I mean, yeah. I almost wish I could do stuff like that for money, but also I tried that once before with one of my hobbies when I worked in a brewery, because homebrewing is a thing I super love. And brewing for money is fucking awful. So, yeah. I don't know. I know you enjoy it, at least some, so I'm glad that you're at least enjoying it some and getting paid for it, because you're pretty good at it. So. And yeah, solidarity is a powerful thing. Also, just my brain does a thing, and it's not a super healthy thing, but my brain does the thing where I can't do things for myself very often. I have to do them for other people. And that's not necessarily super healthy, and it's the thing that I'm working on. But in the meantime, if it means that I can keep going because I'm making it a thing that I do for someone else instead of for myself, well, I'm here. So, world keeps turning. Body doubling. Yeah, it's a huge fucking thing. Yeah. Also, yes, Shan. Shan said, it is a hell of a thing to have your friends find items you wrote for a game and want them without you mentioning what those items are. Yeah, that's pretty fucking cool. And I'm really glad that that's happened to you, because Shan is a freelance writer for Pathfinder 2, or for Paizo, writing for Pathfinder 2, 2nd edition. And he's done some really interesting and neat stuff with it. And I'm really glad he's doing shit. Oh shit, what, Shan? Did you not think that I was going to call you out? Pimp your shit on the show? You've been on the show. I made you do it live. Come on. Oh, you just realized that we have a game coming up soon. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Most people have at least mentioned it to you. Probably just send something in the chat. It'll be fine. Also, in Shan we trust, says Melkor, and feel noticed, Shan. Yeah, you deserve some praise. Yeah, seriously, Shan, send us a message in the fucking group chat. We'll, because otherwise all of our fucking ADHD brains will forget. So do it now while you remember. Shan, this is not the group chat. You can't just message this fucking video.
Got it.
Josie's got it, but no one else will know. Anyway, anybody else got questions? Anything y'all want to hear me fucking ramble about? I'm most of the way done with this drink, so I figure whenever I finish, we'll end the broadcast. Then I'll probably just jump over to the Discord. I've had a really good time hanging out with y'all tonight, so I hope everyone else has. Despite random fucking, literally, I think Russian bots, but you know, whatever. Shit happens. It's almost kind of a badge of honor. Like, hey, we got raided by some bots. Cool. It was a nice chill stream, and thanks, Melkor. The first time I got a hate comment on TikTok, I did a similar thing where I literally responded with a video of making myself a drink and saying cheers because, you know, might as well. Oh, cat. I know someone listening would enjoy talks on journey work. All right. Journey work. Okay. Basic primer on journey work. Journey work is a concept you see under different names kind of all around the world. The term journey actually comes from anthropologists writing about Mongolian shamans doing shamanic journeying. The idea is, and you find this kind of all over the world, in various forms. It's not all the same. I'm not saying it's the same thing. It's at least related. It might be the same thing. I don't know that it's the same thing, regardless. A lot of times it's also called in modern practice astral travel. But regardless, the idea is that some part of you leaves your body and goes wandering through realms of spirit. In some trains of thought, this is people just journeying inside their own minds. In some trains of thought, this is not. That's a separate thing. And to my mind and my practice, that is a separate thing. Right? There is like internal work where you are building mind palaces or going to places inside your mind to do things, which is important and useful, and you can do a lot of powerful stuff with that, but that's not really, it's related, but it's not really journey work as I would define it. Journey work is about taking some piece of yourself, some piece of your spirit, and sending it out to go do something. Usually that, in a lot of cultures, that's either to send something away, so you've got some spirit that's bothering you and it needs to be returned to the underworld or needs to be sent off somewhere else, or to retrieve something, retrieve some piece of knowledge, to retrieve a soul part in some cosmologies, right, where soul loss is a thing, where you need to be able to either grab that piece of that person's soul and bring it back so that they can be whole and more healed and healthy, or you need to go somewhere to speak to a certain spirit to receive information a lot of times so that you can know what's going on, or get advice or whatever. Oh yeah, safe travels, Jason. Going to pick up food. Enjoy. Safe travels. See you, I'm sure, afterwards. So that's a brief overview of kind of what journey work is. In every culture that I've ever read about, at least, journey work is extremely dangerous. If something goes wrong while you're journeying, the results can be everything from very uncomfortable to utterly disastrous. In some of the legends and myths, people die. Like it's not something to be played with. That said, if you know what you're doing, it's also not like the biggest deal in the world. Like I feel like there's people both don't take it seriously enough and take it way too seriously at the same time. Because for a lot of people, journey work is just a matter of course. It's just a thing that you just do. I know some people who do journey work every day, or nearly every day, because they have to. Like it's just a thing that they need to do, for various reasons. In fact, I have said online before that I think one of the strengths of pack magic is journey work. It's a system that lends itself very well to doing journey work. That's slightly off topic. For a primer on journey work, I would say that journey work is in fact fairly dangerous and that it should be taken seriously. It's not as hard as people think, but it is something to be taken seriously. Things that a person should have down before they even attempt it: grounding, centering, shielding, cleansing, warding. You should have a good relationship with at least one god, someone that you can call in an emergency. Honestly, kind of, I like to think of it like going on a road trip. You have to make sure that your car is in order. You have to make sure that you have clothes for the trip. You have to make sure that you have food for the trip, and you go to the bathroom before you leave. Make sure that you either know where you're going to shower and know where the hospitals are, or can find them easily and shower when you get back, right? Like, for cleansing, a thing that I would compare it to is, okay, you've been on a road trip for 3 days, you haven't had access to a shower, you probably feel gross. You are going to want to shower when you get back. I can't journey much, but I keep yarn in my hands when I do so I can find my way back. That's a really neat trick that I've heard of other people using. I haven't used it myself, but I know a lot of people use something similar. That was Melkor who said that. So those are the things that I would say you need down, like down pat, before you start journeying. Once you start journeying, a lot of people, because of that, a lot of journeys start with visualization. And I can't tell you where they stop being visualization and start being you experiencing other realms. I couldn't tell you where that line is, and probably it's different for everyone and different for every journey. And it's absolutely a thing where mid-journey your brain can just start throwing shit at you. Jim Two Snakes call these sock puppets. A lot of people call these sock puppets, where your brain just like, oh, here's the thing. And it's like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Or sometimes if your brain's tricky, and especially if you've been doing this a while and you know what you're doing, your subconscious brain can just throw shit at you that can be really hard to detect. And that's kind of a pain in the ass, because there is also the thing of internal journeys, right? Where you're building mind palaces or doing things inside your own head. And telling the difference can be really fucking tricky. And that's a huge stumbling block, even for people who've been doing this for a long time. Like, I'm pretty good at journey. It's one of the skills that I am better at, as far as like mystical shit. In part because I have a lot of practice, but that's neither here nor there. I still have sock puppets mid-journey. Not every time, not even that often, but it does still happen, like enough that I notice it. Everyone does. It's a thing that happens. Sometimes you can just ignore them and move on and not worry about it. Sometimes it's not even a bad thing, right? Sometimes, okay, so you got this sign in the middle of the journey. That sign came from your brain. Okay, that's still your brain telling you something. It's important to discern where that sign came from, but that's still your brain telling you something. So it could be a thing that you need to pay attention to. It might not be, but it could be a thing that you need to pay attention to. As far as discerning the difference goes between like an internal journey and an external journey, it's different for everyone, because journeying and internal work is different for everyone because every brain is different. One trick that Mother Multiverse taught me when I was first starting was tell it to freeze. Like, just suddenly, if you're in doubt about whether or not this is real, tell it to freeze. And like, tell it to freeze. Just stop. Like you're pushing pause on a TV. And if it does, like it just freezes, the entire world stops. Well, you really probably can't do that to the outside world. Like I can't tell the wind to stop and it stops, right? So probably that's in your own head. If it doesn't, especially if you get a weird reaction, like, what the fuck are you doing? I was talking to you. Then you should probably apologize, because there's a better chance that's real. Of course, eventually your brain will start working around that and throwing things at you that won't freeze when you tell them to freeze. So it becomes slightly less useful over time, but it's still a useful trick. Another thing is just experience, because eventually you get a feel for the difference. And it's not foolproof. Everyone makes mistakes, right? Especially like if you really want something to be real, right? It's going to be a little harder to discern the difference there. But you do get kind of a sense for, no, this is something my brain is doing, versus, no, that's Freya. I should pay attention to this. Shan said, I popped into the Ironwood last night. That was fun. Dream hunting. Woo! You should do that more often. Like, the Ironwood is great. Now that I think about it, Shan, we have never journeyed together. We should do that at some point, because we should. Yeah, we should. Regardless, where was I going? Something that a lot of folks, there's two issues I want to talk about. One, journey work often gets kind of held up as like a pinnacle thing, like a thing that you should aim for, and I think that's both wrong and dangerous. Because one, there is no pinnacle. There is no ultimate practice that you should aim for. If all you ever do in your practice is say some prayers and make some offerings, that's fine. That's good. That's perfect. Like, if that's all you ever do, good for you. You did something. Like, if it's fulfilling, that's the important part. On the flip side, you've got people who like need to journey nearly every day because they have some spiritual need that means that they need to. Different strokes for different folks. Like, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is like, there is no ultimate pinnacle you're reaching for. You're not better because you can journey. You're not worse because you can't. And a lot of people who can journey don't, because they don't need to. Like, everyone's skill set is different. There's nothing wrong with that. Also, holding it up like some pinnacle is kind of dangerous, not just in the like making people feel bad about things, but also because it pushes people to try shit that they shouldn't because they think they need to. And it's like, yeah, and if you're not ready for it, you could get fucking hurt. Or you could hurt somebody else. And that's bad. So, fuck, I lost the other thing that I was gonna say. Damn it. So it's dangerous on the one hand, and it's not a thing you should strive for because there is no pinnacle, there is no peak technique that you need to learn on the other. And then also, this was the other thing. Once people learn how to journey, you get folks who feel like that's the answer to everything, right? That they use it as kind of an escapism where they're constantly going journeying. It's like, why are you doing that? Is it necessary? And for some people it is, where it's genuinely like, no, they need to spend that much time out of their body for whatever reason. On the flip side, it's extremely easy for people, including myself, with mental illness to be like, man, sure is nice to not be here. Sure is nice to not be dealing with this shit, which is, dangerous, right? That kind of escapism is a problem. Both like mentally and physically, like one spending that much time out of your body if you don't have to can be bad for your health. And like the idea that you should escape your body is a bad idea. Like that's the line of thinking that ends to people not being here anymore, and that's a bad thing. As much as medical care is absolutely a privilege, if you're having that kind of thinking, please seek help. Like, and that's all that I can say about it. I'm going to pivot the conversation a little bit by reading some things. Kat says, thank you for the info. Of course. We talked about it kind of last night, and yeah, it's good. Like, it's journeying is a thing that I'm relatively good at, and I'm always happy to talk about it because it's fun. Shan nods. My problem is that magic nonsense feelings kind of ebb and flow with me when I feel like connecting, etc. I mean, I'm with you. I completely understand. Because that happens to me to a much lesser extent than with you. But hit me up, and the next time you feel like doing magic nonsense, hit me up. Like, we'll figure something out if you want to. Milkor says, I found it's best to keep manners, be they spirits or sock puppets, especially if you're like me and have a weak spirit sense. I mean, that's a good fucking point. Like I was kind of saying with, it's even if it's a sock puppet, it's still your brain telling you something. Like, one, best to be polite, even if it's a sock puppet, because then you don't risk offending somebody, which is good. And like, your brain is also important. People denounce internal work at their own peril. Like, internal work is completely valid and very important. And keeping good manners works for most things. Yeah, no, that's true. Although there is the issue of different things considering different things good manners. But yeah, that's, what is polite for Jotunheim is what's polite for Jotunheim is deadly peril in other realms, but that's beside the point. Oh, that's actually another thing. Make sure you have at least a vague idea of where you're going, so you can at least have a vague idea of whether or not you're going to be accidentally spitting in somebody's face and whether or not they're going to like that.
Also, so you can have a big idea if you actually got there.
And as Josie's saying in the other room, and so you can have a vague idea if you actually got there or not. That's, yeah, a good fucking point. Because, yeah, like if you're going for Vanaheim and you end up in snow-covered mountains, you might be in the wrong place. You might not be. I mean, I'm sure there are mountains in Vanaheim, but if you're Norse inclined and you're moving through Norse worlds and you're going for Vanaheim and you end up in snow-covered mountains, I'm going to make you come on next episode just because you keep interjecting on this one. That was Josie saying, who interjected with, if you end up in snow-covered mountains while trying to get to Vanaheim, blame Loki. I mean, you're not wrong. Loki gets blamed for too much and not enough at the same time. Am I milking this drink just so I can keep talking to y'all a little bit, but it's fine. But yeah, the point I was trying to go for is if you end up in snow-covered mountains, you're actually probably in Jotunheim, not in Vanaheim, although that's a bit of a stereotype because Jotunheim isn't entirely mountains, and I'm sure Vanaheim does have mountains. I just haven't been there. Also, Melkor in the Void. Don't accidentally drop into the Void. Whoops, that's a story. That's a story right there that you should tell at some point, maybe on the show. In a month or two. We'll figure something out. All right, I'm gonna finish this drink. I've been on here rambling at y'all for as long as most of our episodes go and longer than some. So I'm gonna finish this drink, and then I will see those of y'all who want to hang out on the after party in the Discord. Thank you for coming. And we will see you next month. Hopefully by then Sarenth is feeling better, and we will see y'all then. Whoops is the story. I still want you to tell it on air, Melkor. I still want you to tell it on air. Anyway, I will see y'all next month, and those of you who want to, I will see y'all in the after party. Good night. Stay safe. Stay healthy. If you haven't already, get your fucking vaccine. And if you have and you need a booster, go get it. The CDC just lowered the Pfizer vaccine from 6 months to 5 months for booster shots. Go get it. Go get your vaccine. Go get your booster. Do the thing. Stay safe. Social distance. Wear a mask. Get tested. Thank you all. Bye. Stay safe. Love you.